Walking down the aisle with my father, my heart raced, torn between joy and impending doom. The church shone with white and pink peonies, exactly like my childhood dream. As the aisle dwindled, the congregation's smiles blurred into colorful patches. Whispers started building around me, their presence heavier than the peonies. When my sister Molly stepped forward, her eyes were glassy and filled with unprocessed emotions. I thought it was for my special day. "Sarah, I can't let you do this without knowing the truth." Molly's voice cracked like glass shattering, the words echoing ominously. I glanced at Lucas, his face drained like chalk, eyes flitting between us with desperation never seen before. Lucas's response was a lifeline, thrown hastily. "She's lying," his words cut through desperation. But my hope dissipated immediately. Molly's voice didn't waver. She was resolute, facing me. "I love him, Sarah, and he loves me." It felt like the earth gave way beneath me, taking with it the joyous life I had envisioned. Each word was an icy needle, driving deep wedges between the dreams I held dear. The weight of betrayal settled over the ethereal beauty of the room, enforcing a silence that reverberated within. My father held my hand tighter, his grip expressing the strength I couldn't find in words. It was just the two of us in that crowded room. Lucas tried to approach me, his eyes pleading and full of regret. But each step he took, I took two back. The whispers turned into a rainfall of confirmation, raining down my castle of bliss. Everything seemed so crystal clear now. I took a glance at Molly, still unyielding. What a life she must be claiming as her prize, twisted in betrayal. My mother's tear-filled eyes meeting mine forced my heart to open to yet another layer of agony. I couldn't breathe. The weight of humiliation was suffocating. Yet deeply, survival instincts whispered to act. With trembling fingers, I removed the ring, sending it skittering across the floor, each clink echoing the pieces breaking inside me. Lucas reached for it, his face wrenching in despair, but I pivoted away, eyes wet but determined. I walked down the aisle one last time, the dream shattered, my vision blurry, but my feet sure of each step I must take. Outside, the world awaited, strangers casting sympathetic yet curious glances. The late afternoon sun gave no comfort. My father's arm wrapped protectively around me, as if he could shield me from the world's reality with a timeless embrace. My mother joined us, her presence comforting like an old lullaby, trying to prevent an inevitable storm from breaking inside me. Lucas appeared, hovering outside the circle. I felt him seeking one last thread between us, tangible enough to keep. The soft rumble of thunder overhead made decisions, as the first drop kissed our joined hands like a fragile promise broken. I finally found my voice, low and shaking, but undeniably mine. "I can't, Lucas. I just can't," I told him, purging my last vestiges of hesitation. Molly's absence felt like the sharp-edged precision of unspoken regrets. She melted away into the surroundings like she was never part of the day. The rain grew insistently heavier, fitting the symphony of emotions, drowning trivialities with ignited purpose. I turned away, feeling the world's resilience seeping back, whispering future plans not written in deceit's ink. Everything about today had changed me immeasurably. Each step was heavy, yet toe-printed with a steely essence, hinting the strength I never knew. As I reached the end, I looked skyward, raindrops gently tapping out acceptance. Fresh air filled my lungs, each breath an unspoken vow to reclaim my future. I strolled into my mom's old sewing room and opened the dusty trunk I hadn't seen in years. There lay her once-loved dresses, whispering stories of days I barely remembered. I gently lifted a vibrant blue dress, its fabric shimmering even in the low light. Something crackled. A hidden letter had slipped out from a secret pocket, yellowed by time. My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter. The handwriting was unmistakably my mom's. Each word seemed heavy, filled with emotions and mysteries I never knew existed. The letter spoke of an old lover my mom had before meeting my dad. I found it hard to breathe, discovering pieces of her life hidden beneath layers of faded fabric. I sat there, stunned, enveloped in silence, wondering whether to dig deeper or respect her secrets. My mom's world felt like a tapestry, intricately woven with tales I never imagined. I decided to step into the garden for some air, still clutching the letter. The sun was low, casting long shadows that mirrored the doubts now haunting my mind. The letter hinted at a place where my mom and this mysterious man used to meet. Curiosity gnawed at me, dragging me toward the idea of visiting that old cafe downtown. Once downtown, I found the cafe barely changed, yet imbued with stories of its own. As I entered, a peculiar sense of my mom's presence hung heavy in the air. Sitting there, I imagined my mom, younger and perhaps happier, meeting this man. I didn't know if I wanted to unravel her past or preserve the magic of the mystery. Suddenly, a notebook slipped off my mom's old dress. Intrigued but unsure, I cautiously leafed through it and stumbled upon entries documenting her cherished moments, shattering my initial doubts. Those scribbles were bursting with life, adventures, laughter, and love, none of which I had ever seen. It dawned on me how little I knew the woman who raised me. While reflecting in the cafe, an elderly man approached, his eyes filled with recognition and a touch of sorrow. He had known her and softly spoke of her fire and grace. His stories painted her younger self vividly. A rush of nostalgia enveloped me as he recalled moments that were never written, painting her as passionate and brimming with life. As I listened, I realized those stories he shared were fragments of her life she chose to keep. Hints perhaps meant only for someone who dared to uncover them. Leaving the cafe, heart and mind in a whirl, I pondered if I should reveal her hidden stories to my family, or let her mysteries remain untouched by others. Back home, I carefully tucked the letter and notebook inside the blue dress, closing the trunk. Perhaps one day I'd share these fragments, but for now, I cherish them alone. Just as I was about to close the trunk, I felt something hard beneath the fabric. An old jewelry box, its surface scratched and faded, emerged as a new secret waiting to be unraveled. I opened the box with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Inside lay a delicate necklace, its pendant gleaming softly, stirring emotions I couldn't yet name. The necklace felt like a talisman, connecting the dots between my mom's past and her unspoken truths. A newfound appreciation for her intertwined memories overwhelmed me. That night, I lay awake, the necklace resting on my bedside table. Its presence served as a comforting beacon, reminding me of her depth I was just beginning to uncover. Curiosity about my mom's hidden romance led me to search through old photographs. I found one with her arm around a man, both wearing the widest smiles I'd ever seen. The man in the photo was identical to the elderly man from the cafe. My heart skipped. Had he loved her for all these years? His eyes had only spoken with truth. With the photograph in hand, I understood the compelling force that kept him anchored to the cafe. A new tenderness swelled within me for stories unspoken and love unseen. I drifted to sleep, heart light with acceptance. Their stories echoed as a gentle lullaby. My mom's secret life was now a vivid tapestry I wore across my soul. Morning light filtered softly through the curtains. I imagined my mom as a vibrant star, shining still. The secrets in the dress were no longer burdens, but colorful petals of her life story. Determined, I visited the cafe again to see if the elderly man was there. I wanted to thank him, not for confirming her story, but for feeling her essence with unyielding love. He wasn't there, but his absence was a silent testament to love's quiet lingering. I sat at their table, the silence gently speaking volumes of stories only hearts can share. Sipping my coffee, I felt an inner peace emerge. I'd unwound threads of her past and, in a way, woven my own story within them. Her life now danced through my veins. I left the cafe with a renewed sense of self, ready to embrace what lay ahead. Moms are complex, like a dress sewn with hidden seams, intricate yet fully intertwined with love. At home, I held the dress delicately, acknowledging its secrets as sacred gifts. It was an honor to be entrusted with her essence, an intricate journey now shared in whispers. I remembered the stir of rebellion in my chest when I first realized we could resist without violence. It felt like a revelation. In our dimly lit basement gatherings, the old books were our guides, faint light casting them in an almost mystical glow. We pored over them, hungry for strategies and stories of quiet defiance. Walking home one rainy night, the clandestine nature of our meetings felt electric. Every shadow seemed alive with purpose. Each raindrop, a promise. During work, I'd steal glances at my colleagues, wondering who might share our vision of quiet revolution. I kept my head down, biding my time. I'll never forget the moment I saw our message spread. Flyers framed walls, whispered a peaceful call to action, and my heart swelled with quiet pride. One morning, they came. Men in suits, eyes cold as steel, dismantling our work. We watched from afar, powerless but not defeated. We gathered later, the air thick with frustration. Faces I knew were transformed, the burning need for justice uniting us stronger than before. Unbidden tears came during a speech, anger brewing just beneath my skin, but I didn't let them fall. It wasn't the time for weakness. Late-night planning felt like playing chess in darkness. We whispered strategies, our words weaving a web of careful, unseen movements. Sometimes I'd lie awake, pondering if our invisible fight was madness. But morning brought resolve as sure as the sun's rise through city windows. The real test came during a protest. I stood firm, the crowd's hum matching my heartbeat. Our nonviolent stance felt powerful amidst chaos. A man shouted, broke the delicate peace. His anger was palpable, like thunder cracking in a clear sky. We held ground, unwavering. Someone threw the first punch. The swarm of chaos was immediate. We retreated, our resolve intact but hearts beating with adrenaline and fear. In the stark safety of a back alley, we regrouped, breathless yet resolute. Silence swelled, a shared acknowledgement of what lay ahead. We embraced, a brief, tender rupture in the fabric of resistance. It knitted us tighter, our silence echoing louder than words could convey. Our next move unfolded quietly, almost sacred. I felt part of something ancient, an echo of silent battles fought through generations. With each silent protest, our presence grew. Some looked annoyed, others curious. We stood, watched, and said nothing. A silenced roar vibrating in the air. An older woman caught my eye, a shared understanding sparking between us. One nod, and I knew the climate of minds was shifting, ever so slowly. Construction workers paused, their tools echoing like our demands. Our silence challenged the noise, an unspoken conversation around us. One of them approached, curiosity radiating from every cautious step. We locked eyes, a silent dialogue unfurling, balanced on the edge of action. The surprise came when he nodded, turned away. It was small, a fluttering acknowledgement of understanding, but it shook me deeply. Back at home, I recounted everything to my roommate. We sat, calendars spread between us, each date holding a promise of silent defiance. As the days drifted into a faint sunset glow, we arranged them into moments of resistance, a countdown embracing us in its quiet urgency. There were whispers of doubt, yet hope outweighed them. I believed in the power of silence, so loud it echoed in my bones. At a small cafe, I caught snippets of conversations turning towards change. The notion of resistance had begun to weave into everyday lives. I was spotted by a friend, an ally recognizing kindred resolve. We exchanged smiles, another unspoken agreement. They were becoming less rare. We wandered the streets, passing quiet signs of resistance. Every small act planted like seeds in urban soil, beginning to sprout beneath certainty's surface. A surprise turn, a conversation changed a mind. I saw it, the slow ripple of understanding shifting someone's world quietly, profoundly. The quiet movements we cultivated were catching on, our steady whisper now a symphony intertwined with life itself. In the end, the resonance of our unspoken struggle etched itself into history. We had resisted, pushed the world forward one silent gesture at a time. I found myself staring at an old photograph of us, the memories flooding back, feeling a pang of regret. I couldn't believe it had come to this. The argument that morning had been explosive. His words echoed in my mind, accusations mixed with disbelief. And in that moment, I knew I had to make a choice. I took a deep breath, grabbed my keys off the counter, and left the house. I needed to clear my head and figure out what to do. Driving without a destination, I found myself at my favorite park. The familiar paths offered comfort as I walked through fallen leaves, feeling the world slow down. I sat on a bench overlooking the pond, watching ducks glide over the water. I thought about the life we had built together and what was at stake. My phone beeped. His name flashed on the screen. My heart jumped as I hesitated to answer, anxiety tightening my chest. I answered, the conversation tense and unresolved, both of us speaking carefully, neither willing to be the first to apologize. Silence echoed as I hung up. Walking back to the car, I felt a mix of frustration and sadness. It seemed as if we were both stuck in our pride, unable to move forward. Sitting in the driver's seat, I stared at the steering wheel, contemplating the words left unsaid. Unexpectedly, tears welled up, blurring my vision. I decided to visit my mom. Her wisdom always soothed me, but mostly I needed to be somewhere I felt completely understood. Surprise hit me as she opened the door, a warm hug enveloping me. I felt a layer of tension release, finally safe to let go. Over cups of steaming tea, I broke down, sharing everything. Her compassionate gaze never wavered, as if granting me permission to finally admit my pain. Her advice was simple: trust yourself. It felt profound in its clarity. I realized fear had been holding me back from making necessary decisions. With newfound resolve, I left her house feeling lighter. The journey home offered me a moment to plan my next steps, knowing I needed honesty. Sweeping the clutter from the entryway when I got back, the house felt different, like it waited for a change. I was ready to face him. He entered the room, our eyes meeting. Silence hung thick, yet for the first time, it wasn't hostile. Something had shifted between us. I spoke first, my voice steady, as I articulated my feelings, laying out my fears and hope. Vulnerability hung in the air, a fragile truth shared. His defenses fell. I saw it in his softened posture, the way he looked at me as if seeing me truly for the first time in ages. Apologies followed, slowly unraveling the knots that had constrained us. Every sorry felt like a small stitch, repairing the fabric of us. We talked late into the night, finding laughter in unexpected places, rekindling the warmth that had felt so distant. Hope whispered between us. In the fresh light of morning, the house seemed brighter, less burdened. I felt a sense of renewal as I prepared coffee, our routine somehow new. Handing him a cup, I noticed his smile held more sincerity. We were grounded in understanding, the past whispers now softer than ever. We sat together on the porch, silence again, but this time it was comfortable. An old friend. I cherished this quiet assurance of our newfound bond. As the light breeze brushed past, I felt the courage to suggest therapy, an idea we had toyed with but never committed to. He agreed, hopeful enthusiasm flickering. Our decision to work on us felt monumental, an investment in our shared future. I was ready to embrace change with an open heart. Days turned into weeks, and therapy sessions added layers to our understanding. Each conversation peeled back misconceptions, revealing the love we shared beneath. Gradually, trust rebuilt itself, forming a strong foundation. He stood by me in ways I hadn't expected, proving we were in this together. Surprise visits to the park became our new shared joy, each walk a reminder of where we once were and how far we had come. One evening, as the sun set behind the trees, he pulled me close, whispering words of promise. I knew then we were finally at peace. Sitting on a stone bench, hand in hand, we marveled at the resilience of love when tended to with care. Our journey felt not a struggle, but a triumph. I was sitting in the living room when I overheard a conversation between my two roommates, planning some sort of secret getaway without me. It felt like a punch to the gut. I confronted them in the kitchen, asking why they didn't include me. One of the roommates looked guilty, avoiding eye contact, while the other shrugged it off like it was no big deal, feeling rejected and unwanted. I spent the night in my room, contemplating my friendships and where I stood with them. The isolation seeped into my bones. Morning came. I decided to speak to one roommate privately, hoping for some clarity. Her sympathetic smile felt reassuring, but the uncertainty lingered. The other roommate texted me a half-hearted invite to join their trip. It was too late. I'd already grown distant. The rift was now undeniable. Weeks passed with minimal interaction between us. I tried focusing on my work, but the underlying tensions made everything feel heavy and hard to process. A surprise visit from an old friend shifted my mood. We reminisced about simpler times, bringing brief laughter and warmth into the room. Just as I thought things might improve, my roommates announced their trip departure date, casually mentioning it to each other, while I stood in the hallway, feeling invisible. The night before their departure, the apartment felt eerily quiet. I pretended to read while trying to drown out my anxiety. Unexpectedly, one roommate joined me, apologizing for how things were handled and offered a more genuine invitation. It was tempting, but I hesitated, unsure of trust. With my guard down, I started packing last minute after accepting the invitation, hoping it might mend the relationship a bit. During the trip, I felt somewhat like an outsider, trying hard to fit into their friend dynamic, but the tension was inescapable. On the trip, we bonded over an unexpected adventure. The laughter broke some of the tension and felt like a small victory for my heart. Returning home, my relationships felt subtly improved, but still fragile. The initial rejection still lingered like a shadow. Alone in my room, I reflected on the trip's moments. Realizing the importance of addressing issues directly and vulnerably, I requested a house meeting, hoping to clear the air. My hands were sweaty, heart racing. I knew it needed to be done. The meeting led to an open conversation where we shared apologies and realizations, with tears and laughter breaking down barriers. With renewed understanding, our daily interactions changed. We supported each other more naturally, and the weight was finally lifting. Feeling lighter, I spent the weekend working on hobbies forgotten amid stress. My guitar felt comforting as the melodies filled the room. We planned another trip together, and the excitement felt genuine this time. I was hopeful about the future and content with the present. A sudden revelation struck me during preparations. The room felt different now, warmer and full of sincere love and support. The day of departure was filled with laughter and shared excitement. We boarded the car, embarking on what felt like a new start. On this new trip, I finally felt completely included. Our group dynamics had shifted to a true friendship bond. Exploring new places together, I realized the depth of connection we now shared. My heart felt full, and the trip had transformed into a cherished memory. By the end, sitting by a beach, the sunset colors mirrored my inner peace. We sat in quiet company, each comfortable in their skin. Back home, I recognized the changed dynamics. It felt like coming into a new space, where every voice was heard. Reflecting on past grievances, I appreciated growth and realized that friendships evolve through trials. I smiled thinking about the journey. A dinner together, celebrating newfound harmony, showed me love's resilience and my capacity to forgive and bond. In the intimacy of our living space, we created shared memories anew, laughing and dreaming for what's next. I knew now that life's trials make connections deeper. I felt grateful for this beautiful chaos, cherishing every moment shared. I found myself alone in my dimly lit bedroom, overcome by a hollow loneliness that seemed to swallow me whole. The memory of his final words kept echoing in my mind, a constant loop that I couldn't seem to silence. I couldn't eat or sleep. Time lost its meaning while I lay there, motionless, staring at the ceiling. Every song reminded me of us, and the lyrics brought me to tears, feeling like they were meant for my pain. Afternoons turned into nights, the outside world fading as I remained cocooned in my sorrowful world. I finally ventured outside, my heart pounding in my chest, as if testing the waters of a new world. I sat alone on a park bench, the wind gently grazing my skin, and I let myself feel the air again. Slowly, I began interacting with old friends. Conversations felt clumsy, but their kindness started rebuilding pieces of me. One evening, while organizing old photos, I stumbled upon a forgotten note that left me breathless and shocked. The note detailed the reasons for his departure, written in a moment of anguish and love. It was bittersweet. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to cry without restraint, feeling waves of emotions crash over me. Reading that note was like unlocking a part of my heart that I had sealed shut. Vulnerability came rushing back. I fell asleep that night, cradling the reminder of the past, nightmares filling my rest. Yet something had shifted. Morning came with clarity. I felt like the sun cut through the fog in my mind, hesitant but hopeful. Over the next few days, I started focusing on revitalizing my space, tidying up and letting go of old remnants. Old habits die hard, and sometimes I caught myself sinking back into the comfort of despair. But I fought it. Support from friends felt like buoyancy, keeping me afloat even on the days when I felt submerged by grief. I decided to change my environment and started painting my walls with fresh, vibrant colors that mirrored my renewal. One day while painting, I heard a forgotten melody from my past, prompting unexpected tears and a release I hadn't anticipated. As I embraced my roller coaster of emotions, I felt ready to explore passion projects that I'd once abandoned. Inviting creativity back into my life felt liberating. Like an old friend I was finally ready to welcome home. I took a trip back to my childhood home, facing environments that were bittersweet, but holding new appreciation. While there, I found old diaries filled with dreams and fears, reading how I perceived the world then with fresh eyes. Embracing that childlike wonder in the pages, I felt a tender connection to my past and a hopeful outlook for my future. Returning home, I felt closure. The many versions of me were now gently intertwined, telling a cohesive story of survival. Reconnecting with the city that raised me was emotional, but I was ready to face it with open arms and no shadows. I visited our old spots, once filled with shared memories. Everywhere, traces of that past intertwined with my new outlook. Each place I revisited was a testament to survival, whispered remnants of pain, now songs of hope and growth. Finally, I let go, heart intact yet weathered. I embraced love's unpredictability, ready to start, to feel, to live. In the end, life's labyrinth didn't trap me. I became the navigator, steering toward horizons where hope emerged anew. I found myself in the middle of a raging argument with my boyfriend in a shabby diner. Raindrops pounded against the windows, mirroring the fury inside me. His excuses felt hollow, the classic misunderstanding defense echoing in my head. I couldn't believe he was trying this again. My hands clenched, almost in rhythm with the relentless rain, wiping away a single tear. I didn't break my glare. I felt like the storm was inside me now, raging intensely, every nerve ending on fire. Memories of his past transgressions flashed in my mind like lightning strikes. Each unfulfilled promise felt like a clap of thunder, reverberating through my chest. I stood up, feeling the diner floor uneven under my boots. His desperate eyes met mine, pleading silently, but I had nothing more to give. The storm outside was nothing compared to the chaos between us. His voice cracked, begging. As I turned towards the exit, rain my only companion now. Outside, the rain hugged me tightly. The chill reminded me I was still in this world. Despite the emotional numbness, I just kept walking, unaware of my destination. When I finally stopped, I was standing under an old bookstore's awning. The comforting smell of books felt like an old friend, beckoning to get out of the rain. Inside, the bookstore was quiet and felt like stepping into a warm embrace. The rain outside seemed like a distant memory within these hushed aisles. Finding a secluded corner, I sank into an overstuffed armchair. The world outside faded, like a storm passed, replaced by pages and stories of others. Lost in another world, I barely noticed when someone approached. Their shadow fell over the pages, pulling me grudgingly back to reality. It was an old friend, a welcome surprise amidst the turmoil. His kind eyes and gentle smile gave me the warmth I desperately needed. We talked for hours, the storm forgotten. His soothing voice was like an umbrella against the drizzle of my persistent thoughts, and I felt lighter. When we parted, the rain had stopped. Outside, the sky was clearing, the street shimmering with the promise of a new beginning. I felt renewed. I walked home slowly, each step lighter, as if I was shedding weight with the clouds. The world looked different, like the storm had scrubbed it clear. Back at my apartment, I curled up with a book by the window. Watching the storm clouds disperse, I felt a sense of calm refuge envelop me. I barely noticed when the storm had truly passed, lost in the comforting rhythm of the rain against the glass. My heart felt repaired, if a bit fragile. Looking at my phone, I saw his name. For the first time, it didn't hurt. The storm had left something stronger in its wake, me. Finally deleting his number, I realized I was free. My heart felt light, unburdened, open to new possibilities that lay beyond the remnants of the storm. The next day, I sat at the cafe, watching the world. The sun sparkled after the storm, casting a warm, golden glow on everything it touched. An unexpected tap on the shoulder startled me. I turned to see a stranger offering a smile as bright as the day, and I felt the storm cloud truly lift. We talked as if we were both lifted by the same sunbeam. He was charming and down to earth, his laughter echoing like music in this newfound calm. The cafe was a backdrop to our burgeoning connection. Even the barista's smile seemed to confirm it. The past felt distant, vanishing with each shared word. As we left the cafe, I was aware of the sun's warmth on my skin. There was something healing in its touch, like the promise of brighter days ahead. Walking side by side, the world seemed new, washed clean by the rain. My heart was open again, ready for what lay ahead. The promise after the storm. I realized even storms held beauty. They brought clarity, washed away the past. It was time to embrace the new dawn, each step rippling with unseen possibilities. Home again, bathed in the afternoon light. Everything felt different, renewed, like the world within these four walls had expanded with the edges of my heart. The rain had cleansed more than the streets. It had rinsed away my hesitation, fear. My journey of healing and rediscovery was just beginning. My gaze settled on a photo from happier times, and I found myself smiling. Change had breathed new life into memories. It was beautiful, liberating. In that moment, I understood. Every storm brings the promise of calm. Every ending makes room for new beginnings. And my heart was ready to embrace it all. I discovered a bitter secret at a family brunch. A conversation not meant for my ears exposed my cousin's betrayal. She was convincing others of my flaws behind my back. I stayed hidden, heart pounding, hearing them criticize my choices and actions. The words cut deep. I felt an intense rush of anger and disbelief. I forced myself to stay calm as I watched her laugh off her hurtful words, completely unaware of my presence. I couldn't believe her audacity. I decided to confront her, wanting answers and accountability. My heart hammered as I stepped forward, revealing myself from my hidden corner. The room fell silent as I interrupted their conversation, my eyes meeting hers, full of unspoken questions and silent accusations. "Care to repeat that?" I asked, crossing my arms tight. Her confident smirk wavered, replaced by a faint blush of unease. She stumbled over her words, trying to justify, clearly not expecting confrontation. Everyone's eyes on her made her shrink back slightly. I felt a mix of vindication and shame as I called her out. My voice trembled, but I stayed firm, not allowing her an easy escape. People shifted uncomfortably, some murmuring in low tones. Privy to layers of hidden tension suddenly laid bare. The air buzzed with silent judgments. Her initial defiance crumbled slowly, her eyes lowered, trapped in the spotlight of her own making. I felt a twinge of pity despite everything. Just when I thought I had her pinned, another voice joined in. My aunt, unexpectedly defending her. Surprise hit me like a wave. I listened to her try and justify my cousin's gossip, feeling a nagging betrayal knot in my stomach. The family alliance was shifting. In that moment, I realized how complex family loyalty can be, twisted and tangled in surprising ways. I felt both anger and deep sadness. I wanted to retreat, to talk quietly, away from prying eyes. The battle lines in the room were drawn, too stark for comfort. We moved into the quiet hallway, just my cousin and I, away from judgmental eyes. I needed to understand why she did it. She admitted feeling trapped and overwhelmed by family expectations, using me as an scapegoat. Her voice cracked with guilt. Understanding crept in as I listened, though anger still simmered. I'd been there too, caught in the web of family pressure. Her apology was halting but heartfelt. I felt the weight lift slightly, though trust was still fractured. This could be a start. We silently agreed on peace for the moment. A complex truce, not easily reconciled but necessary. Our family connection demanded it. We rejoined the others, acting as if nothing happened. The weight of unspoken words hung in the air like a silent echo. The brunch continued with forced smiles and forgotten conversations, yet a changed undercurrent rippled beneath our cheery veneer. As time passed, the laughter grew more genuine. Slowly, we eased back into a sense of normalcy after the storm of confrontation. I watched my cousin closely, checking for cracks in her interactions. She seemed sincere, as committed to this peace as I was. Later, in a quieter moment, she hugged me quickly and whispered thanks. A fragile bridge was built with reluctant trust. Confrontation was unexpected, yet somehow cleansing. I realized I had spoken truths long buried, harsh yet necessary for our fractured ties. The rest of the day felt like a delicate negotiation of peace, navigating the invisible threads of family dynamics. A shared silence with my cousin had more weight than words ever could. Incremental steps toward healing made in that silence. Our final parting felt both inevitable and somber. Yet, an unspoken agreement had been reached. We'd navigate the complexities together. Returning home, the house felt different. A lingering whisper of earlier tensions, but now overshadowed by tired relief. As I sat alone, I realized this wasn't our last confrontation, but it was a new beginning. Hope flickered stubbornly amidst uncertainty. I watched from the kitchen window as she drove away. Her expression stayed hidden behind tinted glass, but everything we'd shared seemed to retract into a void. The silence was heavy. Rubbing my temples, I felt the absence settle in our living room. Every object bore her touch, every shadow her presence. The room felt colder now, or maybe that was just me. I poured a glass of whiskey, the amber liquid catching what little daylight remained. It was a habit now, a crutch. I stared at it, hoping for answers it never gave. The din of the neighborhood resumed its usual rhythm outside, but our home felt displaced in time. It was like living inside a photograph, the moment poised yet unchanging. Found an old photo album behind the bookshelf. Her laughter burst from the pages, disarming me. My thumb traced her face, younger and hopeful. That past felt alien now. Her letter lay on the dresser, a stark contrast against the polished wood. Its words were an unspooled thread tying us to this bitter present. I hadn't dared to read it again. I finally picked it up. Each line was like a needle against skin. Yet I was drawn to its honesty, its rawness. The ink bore witness to our unraveling. I put the letter down, my vision slightly blurred from unshed tears. It was cathartic, yet disorienting to face the words we both avoided for too long. The sun had dipped below the horizon, ushering night into the windows. The clock's ticking echoed, a ghostly reminder of time past and time yet to fill. I moved to the bed, feeling the cold of empty sheets stretch across. Memories shared here felt like faded sketches, outlined but lacking warmth or form. Sleep evaded me as long as I wrestled with the unfamiliar comfort of solitude. Every creak in the house felt amplified by her absence. Morning light seeped through as I finally slipped into a light slumber. Awoke to an uncomforting silence that didn't betray its purpose. Loneliness hung in the air like mist. A familiar knock on the door jolted me. It was unexpected, setting my heart racing. I hadn't expected visitors in days. Curiosity drew me to the peephole. My brother stood there, plane ticket in hand, showing a face that mirrored my own sorrows. I hadn't realized how much I needed another's company until then. We settled in with coffee, silence bridging the gap left by words unspoken. Despite everything, his presence added a warmth back into the room. We talked finally, punctuating our sorrows with laughter that sounded alien in this house. Dwelling on her was inevitable, but something shifted with each broken silence. He suggested we go away for a while, to clear the cobwebs. A hesitant nod on my part signaled the first step towards acknowledging life beyond this threshold. We packed lightly, our travels a chance to refresh this burdened mind. Each item felt like a symbolic farewell to memories that had lingered here too long. Standing on the threshold, bag in hand, I couldn't help but glance back once more. The home we built now whispered of a new beginning. We drove beyond the limits of our small world, each mile dissolving fragments of the past. His playlist accompanied us, underscoring the journey ahead. The landscape shifted slowly from urban contours to vast fields, horizons filled with promise. His animated storytelling made those fields feel lively and abundant. A roadside diner appeared like a mirage, offering respite and coffee. For the first time in months, I felt genuine hunger, a small return to normalcy. The smell of sizzling bacon and fresh coffee was heady. Strangers' laughter was a reminder of life's relentless beauty. I almost smiled at that. He ordered enough to fill us both. I watched the easy interaction, his casual approach to life, realizing I might just learn from him this time. Our conversation turned lively, energized by food and surrounding. We reiterated stories, comforted by the repetitive familiar. I understood the value of anchoring memories afresh. We walked out with a renewed sense of direction. The world felt expansive once again, possibilities seeming endless as the road we followed. A shared vision moved us forward from here. I had an impulse to call her, to speak the words that dwindled on the paper we held sacred. Yet, the pause lent itself more meaning than any call could. Her voice lingered in my thoughts, but now, so did hope. I put the phone down gently, respecting this newfound equilibrium. There was peace in not acting. Our journey continued through the patchwork of landscapes, rivers, valleys, towns with no names. Each piece stitched a map of healing into our souls. As dusk embraced us, I whispered a silent gratitude to the universe. The shadows promised clarity. The journey had offered more than an escape, a silent promise of becoming. I was at the fancy restaurant, my heart racing with uncertainty, watching the elegant surroundings that felt foreign amid whispers and clinking glasses. The night was about to reveal its truths. Seeing him across the room with a casual easiness, his laughter mixed with the air, my heart sank further as doubts grew. Was this the turning point in our lives? Approaching the table, I hesitated, feeling misplaced and overshadowed by the chatter and charisma, wondering if I could stand in this moment and say what was buried deep inside. The laughter seemed to quiet as I took my place, like the calm before the storm, every eye an unwitting witness to what might unfold. A tension hung in the air. He turned his focus to me, his eyes holding curiosity. The moment was surreal. I could sense everyone waiting, watching for what was to come, breaths held quietly. Finally, I found my voice, quivering yet firm, expressing feelings that had lingered uncomfortably for too long. The words flowed, revealing vulnerability masked by strength. The table fell silent, expression shifting from amusement to solemn understanding. A quiet acknowledgement that something significant was airing out in this pristine setting. He looked contemplative, his emotions visibly stirred, catching the unexpected weight of my honesty. Caught in a moment where laughter had been the only shield against reality, the waiter approached silently, a subtle nod exchanged, as if knowing tonight was different. A surreal mix of ordinary duties against the backdrop of emotional turmoil. The food arrived, unnoticed amidst the emotional climate, each plate a silent witness to truths unfolding. Our shared history laid bare like the dishes before us. In the quiet ambient glow, I shared stories of unrealized dreams, unraveling pieces of myself long shadowed by assumptions. A fragile dance of my truths. His eyes met mine, holding a mix of surprise and admiration, as if discovering a part of me he never knew existed. A quiet unfolding in his grip of control. Unexpectedly, his hand reached across the table, offering a bridge from uncertainty to closeness. A mere gesture, but laden with meaning, hinting at unspoken words. I hesitated, feeling the weight of past silence versus the promise of connected futures. Was this the reconciliation I longed for at the expense of compromise? Suddenly, the lights dimmed across the restaurant, signaling a shift, a transformative beat in the atmosphere that matched the rhythm of change between us. Conversation reignited softly, gentler now yet more profound. Each word a footprint towards understanding, a dialogue shadowed by past missteps, but hopeful in tone. Time seemed to stretch as I shared what had been hidden, my heart opening wider than ever before, a necessary release amid shared gazes and tentative comfort. His response moved from acceptance to a promise, a mutual decision to navigate back after losing sight, a refreshing clarity amidst the clutter of emotions. Outside the window, soft rain started to fall, an understated companion to our unfolding narrative, soothing in its gentle rhythm against the challenges we faced. Feeling vulnerable yet resolute, we moved our conversation outside, the air cool against the warmth of shared acceptance. It transitioned from the restaurant's unknowable vastness. In the quiet sidewalk glow, we paused, words falling softly amidst the rain. A serene intersection of fear and courage, united by the truth shared tonight. The city seemed alive around us, breathing with endless possibilities and instantaneous regrets. Each step together marked a newfound freedom in familiar chains. He turned, slightly catching my eye, his face showing reassurance. the spontaneity of truth ever present as we navigated this unexpected dance of self. Rain continued its soothing descent, embracing us in its gentle weave, a natural blanket wrapping around newly formed connection, past sorrows dissolving in its flow. I felt lighter, shedding old uncertainties as the city echoed with life. A dance not of performance, but of sincere realization in the rain's baptism. We wandered quietly, reflecting on emotions shared tonight, every step less burdened, every breath closer to an authentic self unveiled in cool rainlight. Suddenly, I understood. This night changed us. An unexpected alignment of souls dancing within the streets. A portrait of renewal painted by moody rain shadows. The revelation settled peacefully, our shared steps echoing softly through puddles. The night stretching indefinitely filled with hope and the promise of untapped reality. I turned, embracing the gentle evening. A quiet dance of nostalgia with future steps forward. Rebirth felt with the night's forgiving chill. As the rain lifted our spirits higher, forging paths untold, I realized this dance was of self, raw, unyielding, and endlessly itself in the city's evening glow.